Hi there, Jamie Keat here today at Teachers Tech. Hope you're having a great day today. Today I'm continuing on with my Excel for Beginner tutorial. So this is number 3 in this series. I have number 1, number 2. I'll put that down below in the description if you want to check that out if you're just starting from scratch. This one continues on with more features that I'm going and looking at it from a beginner's point of view. So let's get started here today with this Excel for Beginners level 3 today on Teachers Tech. So just before we get started, I just wanted to point out down below in the description, I'll have everything listed in this video and it will be timestamped where you can just quickly click on the number and it will jump to that part of the video if you're looking for something specific. And I'll also have other videos to other tutorials there, such things as VLOOKUP, pivot tables, and other ones looking at it from a beginner point of view. So today we're going to start with looking at the copy and paste feature. So this might sound simple, but I want to make sure that you understand all the tips and tricks of using this feature and the paste special to get more out of it and to kind of speed things up with some tips and tricks along the way. So I have some information in a table here, just your basic, Monday through Sunday sales. I have a basic formula. If you look into the formula bar, right up here, it's just multiplying the units with the average price to get a revenue for that day. Now, I'm going to make a copy of this little table here just by selecting it, right clicking, and I'm going to hit copy. And you could also hit Control C on your keyboard. On your Mac it would be Command C, but I'm going to go ahead and hit copy. If I go ahead and just move it over a couple spots, I'm going to right click and I'm going to go to paste, and you could go Control V on your Windows or Command V on your Mac to paste it. So that's your basic paste. Now the issue is this works fine and everything. The issue is you're going to have to do a little bit of formatting to make it look right. The colors came across, but the column widths aren't the right size. And I know this isn't a big deal to fix on this, and we can, with a double click up here in between the columns, start to adjust our different ones. Or if we wanted to highlight everything and just double click in between any of these, it's going to adjust everything to make it fit just like that. So not that big of a deal to adjust it, but I want to show you some other ways that we can copy pasting, looking at all the different functions. So if I have this again, if I go ahead and right click, and I've already copied it, but I'm going to copy it again, and I'm just going to go back over here and right click. And I want you to take a look at all the different paste options under the right click. Now, these aren't all the paste options either. I'm going to show you where you can find more in a few moments. But so this was your basic one that we already did. You can see there's values. If you didn't want the formatting from something, so if you're copying and pasting it from a different sheet and you didn't want to have to go through and take off the formatting, you could save yourself a step just like that. This is going to do the formula, so it's not going to change anything. You notice the formatting isn't there. This one I really like. So if I go ahead and hit Transpose, take a look at this. So what it did was, and I'm going to adjust this real quickly so we can see everything. So with Transpose, it took my Monday through Sunday and put it across the top. So I've taken where my rows were and turned them into the columns just by that simple copy and paste. And this one, that feature, a lot of times people overlook it, and it's a really easy thing to do. So I'm just going to go back a step again and looking at our copy paste features here. So as I go through, formatting is just here. So like for an example, if I went to the values, I could actually go after and decide, well, I want the formatting. I could click in here. You can see if I go to formatting, it puts the colors back and the lines back around everything. So those are some of the basic features of the copy paste. The other place I wanted to point out, if you go up to paste here, you can see a few more options. So as I go through, I'm just going to hover over, and you can see formulas and numbers formatting, keeping source formatting, no borders if we didn't want any borders around, keep source column width. Now this one I showed you at the beginning, if you're copying pasting and you don't want to have to adjust how I adjusted, and again might not take a long time, but if you could go keep source with the column widths, and then that's the transpose one I've showed you before. So very quick to take advantage of those ones. Now some other things that you can do with copy and pasting, I'm just going to go, I'm undoing this one. I'm just using Control Z to undo. I could go ahead and just grab these numbers here, and let's say I'm going to copy this like this, and I have a different sheet here, and I'm going to go to this, and you notice there's no revenue here. If I right click and paste it, it actually took the formula. So I copied the formula over and it just brought it right in here. I have different numbers. I could adjust it just like that. So the other thing you can do, though, I could go back to sheet 1. I could just copy everything from from the top here, just like this, and go to sheet 2 and paste it in just like this, and you can see how it goes in. But if I wanted to skip the step and make sure those everything's the right width, I could go up top here, and if I paste it here, keep formatting width, everything fits automatically. The formula copied over, and it's working with these numbers here across. So not only can I copy the whole tables and different parts of it, the formula can be moved, and it will work when I bring it over, and as long as it aligns with how this did with the right cells, how the formula bar, how it was set up. So the next tip I want to show you is pasting a link. So I'm just going to go ahead and on the sheet 1, I'm going to highlight this part right here, just the revenue, right click, copy. I'm going to go to sheet 2, and I'm going to just right click, and this time I'm going to paste link here. So go ahead, I'm going to click on that. I'm going to format just like I've showed you before. I can go through and add my formatting. You can see as I change, and we have my formatting. So what it does now, this is linked. So let's go to this bottom one where it says $540. If I go back to sheet 1, and let's change this, maybe we missed some sales, and I'm going to make this a lot higher, turn it to 44, and now it went to 1,134. If I go to sheet 2, this is reflected, so it was automatically changes. So you can copy and it links. So as long as you paste it as that link option, it will link through. Now, another thing you can do, if I go back to sheet 1, you might maybe want this on multiple sheets, so you don't want to have to go to each one and paste it on every one at a time. You can actually select multiple sheets to paste it on. So if I go ahead, I'm just going to select this, right click and copy. And now let's say if I wanted, you can see I have sheet 4. If I hold shift down and keep holding it down on my computer, I can select multiple sheets. Now, what I'm going to do is if I right click and paste it, I'm going to just do my normal paste, and you can see it goes through. And if I go to sheet 5, it's on it. And if I go to sheet 6, it's on it. It put it in that exact same place on all those sheets. So it's a quick way to go, so you don't have to paste it one at a time on every sheet. You can do that way. So the last thing I want to show you with copy and paste, I'm going to move to a different sheet, sheet number 3 here, and that's with the paste special. Now, let's say this was the price of my different widgets that I have here. And I could say, well, these are the amounts I need to increase the price up by. This one's going to go up by $2, $1, or this is a percentage increase. I'm going to just take this and select it and copy. And I'm going to go over here. This time, right click, I'm going to go to paste special. And you can find these up top too. So if I go up, you can see paste special. You're going to get to the same one, but I'm going to click paste special. And on this one, I want to add this amount to it. So I'm going to click add, and I'm going to paste all. You can see how you can kind of go through and select what parts you want from formulas, values. I'm going to hit OK, and it gave me the new price. So it increased the prices by what I said. And you can also do this by percentages, by multiply. So if I had a percentage that it was going to increase by, I could right click, and then I could go ahead and go back to paste special again. This time I'll multiply and hit OK. and the price went up by those that percentage increase there. So that's under the paste special. So take advantage of that paste option when you're working in Excel. It can save you a lot of time in making sure you choose the correct the paste option to save you those steps. In my previous tutorial, I talked about autofill. So if you want to learn about autofill, go check that out in number 2 tutorial. In this one, I want to talk about flash fill. So flash fill is a great way to pull information from columns to combine things together. And what I'm going to do is to quickly show you an example of it. I just have some names here. You can see just some names put together, and I have years worked. And I'll show you an example right here. I'm going to type the first person's name into one spot here. So just like this. Now, if I go down and start typing in the second one, notice it's starting to populate. If I just hit enter, it populates. It found the pattern that I was looking for, and it automatically just filled in everything down it. So then I could go adjust my columns, and you can see everything just pulled it and put it together in one cell. I'm just going to hit Control Z, and you can change this easily too. So if all of a sudden I wanted it maybe just the first and last name, I'll show you a different way you can do this. If I was going to pull this down this corner, just where that little black, you can see that little corner, that little dark square there. If I pull it down, and you think, oh, I just copied down the whole way. But what you do is if you click on this, you can go to flash fill, just like that, and it changes it. Now another way, and again, I'm just going to go Control Z. When you're in this, what you can do, if you just hit Control E. So Control E, it does it. That's the shortcut for flash fill, and it puts it right down through it. Now you can adjust this too. So if I don't want, I'm just going to delete this again. Maybe I just want the first initial. So if I just hit J Scott like this, and I'll hit Control E and go down. I'll click in, click out, Control E. It knows to take the first letter off and then put it with the last name, so I can start to combine it. So even with the year's work, I'm going to go back again on this one. If I wanted to put the number 5 in there, it knows that it's going to pull. So I'll do this a different way this time. Change it back to flash fill. And you can see how it adjusts. It will even pull those numbers in. So it's a very quick way to combine your different columns and put it into one cell. And I'm going to show you a few more things you can do with this. Okay, so now I'm going to show you a couple different ways that you can use this flash fill that might come in handy for you. And I just want to note, you need to be in the column right beside it to have it work. So if I was going to do flash fill here, and I'll give you an example, if I was just going to type this name in here, and notice as I I'll go down and I'll go to flash fill, it won't work. It won't work because you need to be in the one right beside it here. So if it's not working, just to let you know that. Now let's say I'm going to make an email list here. And what I'm going to do is, I know it's first name dot last name and then the company's email. So I could type in jamie.scott here, and I'm going to say it's at teachers.tech. And so if I do it what I've done before, I could use my control, make sure I'm in the right cell here. I could drag down, I could hit Control E, and it brings it, excuse me, all the way down. Remember the different ways to fill it in, but Control E, I like to use that one because it's so quick. We have it right here. We can adjust, and we've put in the first name dot last name for it. You can use this in numbers. So maybe you get phone numbers and they come in like this and they're hard to read. You could format one of them using the flash fill. So for example, if we were just gonna just put the numbers in here like this one, making sure I can read it because it's so hard to read, just like it is. And I'm going to add some spacing in here. Remember, if I don't get it right, it's going to ask for some more information. So this time I'm just going to go and pull this down and click on flash fill. and it moves it all across. So I've reformatted those phone numbers, and it didn't take very long. All I have to do is get the first one. Sometimes what happens when using flash fill, as you go down, it might ask you to clarify because they're looking for a pattern. And if they haven't made sense of the pattern, they might ask you got to go through to the next one, and then it will try to get us to connect to the pattern that you want it to. So I hope this will come in handy, this flash fill. I know this is something that saves me a lot of time if I'm working in Excel and I don't have to duplicate things or pull information out of the rows and columns that I already have. Let's move on to our next topic now in this tutorial. Okay, so what we're going to do now is talk about links and a few different types of links. We're going to link from a worksheet out to the web address that when you click on it, it opens it up, and also inside a workbook with all the different worksheets that you have, where you could almost have a directory or table of contents and be able to go from one sheet back to maybe a directory one where you could find the different, maybe it's a chart or something that you want. So I'll try to help organize, show you how to do that with the different links. Now, what we're going to do first is just a simple website link, and I'm just going to use my website as an example here. I wrote Teachers Tech here. I'll just bold it so you can see it a little bit more, and then I'm going to right click on this, and I'm going to go to link right here. So when I click on link, you get this insert hyperlink window open. I'm just going to hit cancel. A shortcut to this is Control K. So Command K on a Mac, but Control K will open up this. So whenever inside Excel, you're going to find this in a few different locations. When you see insert hyperlink, this is what's going to open up. Now, if I want to go to a website, I want to make sure that it's under this right here, link to existing file or web page. I'm just going to put my address in there for my website. I'm going to hit OK. And you can see right away that now this has become a link. And if I go ahead and click on it, it's going to open up my website here, as you can see. So it just links it that easily. Now I can use objects to do this too, or pictures, and I can turn those into links inside the document. So what I mean by that, if I go to insert, and I'll just use shapes here for an example, and I'll just use this heart, and I'm going to draw the heart right here. And now if I right click on it, you'll see the link one right there, or I could use the Control K, and I have that option again. I can put in my address, hit OK, and I click on it, and this is, you can see that it's going to where it's going to go to. So as I click on it, it's going to open up my website, and I can see it's twirling. There it goes, and it opens up from there. Now another thing you can do, if you wanted, you could put pictures, or you could take screenshots. So, but before I do that screenshot, I'm just going to change this for a second, because I'm going to take a screenshot just of this Teachers Tech thing right here. So what I'm going to do, I'll go back now to my illustrations and screenshot and click on it. I'm going to say screen clipping, and what I'm going to do is just use this right here. So I took a screen clipping of my website over here, and I brought this in. So now I could go through and link it just like I did before, and so you can quickly paste it in, and this becomes a link here that you can easily get the pictures from. You can see how it's the link. All right, so we'll go back to full screen now. So that's just linking to the web. I'm going to delete, so if I keep clicking on these, it'll keep opening it. So what I'm going to do, actually, if I right click on any of these, you can see I can remove links if I want, or edit any of these too. So I'll leave it like that. So a good way that you could help organize your workbook with all the worksheets inside could be a directory or table of contents, maybe on the front page, where they know they can click on a link and it will take them to the exact worksheet, maybe with a chart or graph on it, or maybe just a table that you can quickly access. So I want to show you how you could set that up. Now I just have, you can see I just wrote directory here just as an example, and I have worksheet 1, 2, 3, 4. If I was going to want to be able to click on worksheet 1 and go to sheet 1 down below, what I do is I could use my shortcut Control K, like I've showed you before, But this time you need, instead of this, place existing file or web page, go to place in the document, and you'd want this to go to sheet 1. So we hit OK, and you can see the link is there, and I click on it, and it went to this spot. You can see where it's highlighted, and I'll show you where a moment where that's selected. So you can see it brought me right to here. I could click back on directory again, and I'll show you how to add a shortcut so it's easy to get back to directory all the time too. Now, if we go to worksheet 2, actually I'll go to 3 and do the same thing. Right click, and we can go to our link or use the shortcut. You can see it says type the cell reference. So this is where it says it's going to go to A1, and that's why that was highlighted, that cell, when I went over there. But we could say A3, and I'll just do this as an example. I'll just put A3 in here, sheet 3, hit OK. If I click on worksheet, and you can see we're in A3 highlighted, so that's why it's just jumped to that. So if there was if it had a lot of information on that worksheet and you wanted to jump to a certain spot, you could select where you'd want it to go. Now, another thing that you could do, you could go to a named range that you've created. So let's say I go to, we'll go to right here, our worksheet 2, and I'm going to make this, I'm going to name this. And how we do this is, so I'm going to highlight this right here, and I'm going to go up to this, and I'm just going to call this revenue, just like this, and hit enter. And now I've named this. So I've highlighted all the, I don't have any spaces in this. I went from the top of this this table to the other side with all the information, and now I have that as a named area by typing it in there, and I just hit enter on it. So if I had different areas defined, I could drop down and see them. But if I go back to my directory and say in worksheet 2, and I right click and I go to link, and this time, notice under defined names, I have revenue. So I hit OK, and I go there, and now I can go click on it, and it brings me to, whoops, I went to the wrong one there. I'll go back and click worksheet 2, and you can see that it's brought me right to this one. So define your areas within a worksheet, and you can jump right to those spots too. Now remember what I said, like you might want to have something that brings you back to your directory all the time. So you might have something placed in here at the top where it all, like a website, it brings you back to home. So if I was going to click here, I could right click and go to my link, and where do I want it to go? Maybe back to the directory, and hit OK. And so now if I click on it, it brings me back to here. Now, maybe you don't want to have that on every, you want that, you don't want to have to go through and do that on every page. Remember when we talked about the copying, we could right click on this, run copy, and I could select multiple sheets like I showed you before, and I'm just going to go Control V, and now as I click on each of the sheets, it's there. So I have this home button that always brings me back to my front page on my directory. And remember, if you didn't want it to be just a cell, you could add a graphic. Maybe you go and insert a shape or something that will say it on there, and then you hyperlink it back, and then you can copy it through. Makes an easy way to copy and get back to the directory. So if your workbook and all the worksheets in it, and you're getting a lot of them, and you just want to have a way to kind of help organize things where you have that table of contents or directory on the first page, and you can maybe write little notes, and people will know what to go to just from that first page. So I hope you like this tip. So this is the end to my tutorial number 3 for my Excel beginners. I will make a number 4. A lot of times I just make it from what I hear what people are asking for in the comments. Then I try to put together I'll put together a number 4 video, kind of trying to explain the points that people are asking for. But I'll also come out with specific videos about specific topics, just not necessarily tutorials with many different things in it. So I hope this helps you out. You find it helpful. Let me know in the comments down below what you're looking for and different ways I could create videos to help you get into Excel more. Thanks for watching this week on Teachers Tech. I'll see you next time with more tech tips and tutorials.